Hello, everybody. Now, today I'm going to teach you a sonnet by William Shakespeare, When in Disgrace. As you all know, that Shakespeare was a writer of sonnets, and he has written in total about 154 sonnets. He began writing the sonnets in the year 1592. Many of these sonnets were published in a manuscript form from 1598 to 1599, and most of the themes of the sonnets are related with love and romance. And as we know, that if we read his plays, he was a very famous playwright and he wrote around 37 plays. And he got popularity from his plays more than his sonnets. But of course, he was a writer of sonnets and poems, also some narrative poems also. But we can learn from reading his sonnets and his plays that he was related with the royal court and and very much familiar with the nobility. And even though Shakespeare is no more these days, and people in fact question, why do we read Shakespeare even to this day? Why we are interested in reading his plays and his sonnets? Let me tell you that Shakespeare is popular even to this day, and his plays and his sonnets have a timeless appeal because what he wrote in the 16th century, he was a playwright of the 16th century, and no matter whatever he wrote at that time, they have a universal appeal, not only timeless but a universal appeal, because you can learn, or rather get some message from his plays also, as well as his poems also. And even though he borrowed literary scripts sometimes, and literary forms from the others, but because of his excellent craftsmanship, he had transformed them in such a way that they became his own. Now, this is a sonnet, and a sonnet, you all know, is of 14 lines, a very short poem, in which you are able to convey your thoughts, your deep thoughts, in those short lines. So, when in disgrace. Now, see, he says when. This is a 29th sonnet of Shakespeare, and he says when, comma, in disgrace. That you are talking about, Shakespeare is talking about the time when he felt disheartened and when he was in a state of disgrace, in a disgraceful situation, in a state of dejection. What did he feel at that time? So let me read out to you. When in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes. Now, the poem, as you know, begins it with a pessimistic tone. In a pessimistic tone, it begins, and he feels that Shakespeare feels as if he's going through a state of misfortune. And this misfortune, he cannot outline why he is facing this trauma and why he is being treated as a social outcast. Because when you are disgraced, you are not liked by your own people, and neither you are liked by the society at large. And when you are rejected, you get a feeling of not only dejection, but a rejection from the society also. And naturally, you feel as if this does not lie in your fate. You are ill fated. You are in a state of misfortune. So it says, when in disgrace with fortune, that is, you are misfortunate, and in men's eyes, not only people in your own house, but also around in the society, in your neighborhood, society at large. That is, you are a social outcast. I all alone beneath my outcast state. I all alone. That is, he is outlining his state of loneliness. Naturally, when you are left alone, and how? When you do not get that feeling of belongingness, when you do not get this feeling of belongingness either in the house or outside house, in the social environment, then you are deeply depressed with this feeling of loneliness in your life. And he says, I all alone, that is deeply feeling all alone. Beweep, that is, I am alone to cry out. There's a proverb, laugh and the world laughs with you. Weep and you weep alone. So when you are in a sorrowful state, when you are in an outcast state, you are beweeping your own misfortune. There is nobody to share your misfortune with you, but you are stating your own outcast state. And trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries. And naturally, when you're feeling dejection, what do? You cry to God. You cry in front of God, God, why this is happening to me? And why I should always be the sufferer? And why this misfortune should befall my fate? So my cries to God, I'm crying out to heaven, I'm praying to God to undo these misfortunes in life. But my cries are bootless, futile, useless cries, because it seems as if God is not hearing me. God is not listening to me. It happens, when God does not, I mean, when you not get a reply to your misfortunes, or when things do not change to a happy state of affairs, you get a feeling as if you are downtrodden, you are dejected. So it says, when I look down upon my cursed fate in life, wishing me like to one more rich in hope. And he says, when I look down upon my this cursed fate in life, this misfortune situation in life, then I become hopeless. I am without hope. But in the very next line, he seems as if he is enjoying his own self by valuing in self pity. Because he says, wishing me like to one more rich in hope. Because even though I am in a self downtrodden state, yet I also wish that my life was fruitful. I should have more friends, more vitality in life. I should be more hopeful. I should have more passions. I should have more feelings in my life. That is, I should be surrounded by people. I should have more friendship with people, more liking by the people, he says. So, featured like him with friends possessed. That is, I want to be a person who wants to have friends in life. I want to be featured with friends in life. Friends is that is being surrounded by friends in life. I want to be possessed with friends in life, desiring this man's art and that man's scope. That is, I want to be a talented person also, desiring this man's arts. That is, as if he is not feeling satisfied with his own craftsmanship, with his own talent. So he says, well, I should become more talented like the other person. I should have more possession of values in life. And I should expand my scope in life. He says, I should have plenty of friends. I should have more skills and more freedom in life. So he's yearning for that state of affairs when he should be a person who is liked by others, more possessed by others because of his own skills and because of having more freedom in life. So, this strong emotion, which is expressed in these lines, shows that despite the state of negativity in his life, despite the state of not being possessed by, or rather being regarded as an outcast in life, still he is living upon with a hope of having new friendship or new vitality in life. Then he says, this ninth line, he says, with what I most enjoy contentedly. Now, this is a very important line because it says, with what I enjoy most. Because, see, he was a playwright and he used to go from place to place in getting his plays performed upon the stage. And in the beginning, of course, in the 16th century, there were no indoor theaters, there were outdoor theaters. And there was out platforms on the outside in the ground where the plays of Shakespeare were performed, and they were all subject to the tribulations of weather also. The time and the weather also faced, had a great impact upon the performing of the plays of Shakespeare. So he says, when this man who was a playwright and who got his plays performed upon the stage, he says that, and I who felt most contented with my passion of writing plays and getting them performed, I found myself contented least. He says contented least in the sense that when he says why he was, and why contented least, that is when you are satisfied the least. And there were many reasons which could have resulted in this dissatisfaction in the life of Shakespeare. One point is that in 1592 plague break out, and because of this you can say this disease which was spread out, over the whole state, over the whole world, you can say, naturally this subjugated his performance into his performance of plays on the stage. And because of this, because all the you can say the doors were shut out for the performance of the plays, naturally he had to stay indoor and has to face poverty conditions at that time, because there were no performance at that time. And thus you can say, because of the plague and because of the resultant poverty, there were many other factors also contributing to the this feeling of dejection in the life of Shakespeare. One factor which could have caused the dejection in the life of Shakespeare was also the famous playwright Graham Greene. He wrote a play himself in which Shakespeare acted. But when Shakespeare acted in a play of Graham Greene, Graham Greene criticized him to the utmost limit. He criticized his performance, and at this and to such an extent he had insulted Shakespeare that this became very upsetting for Shakespeare. And this is evident in this line, because he says, with what I most enjoy contentedly. That is, this was my, the passion of my life, writing plays. The performance of the plays was the love of my life. And when I performed in Graham Greene's plays, why did I meet so much of criticism from him? And naturally this gave him rather, it was a blow to his own self-respect in life. But the last lines, the last four lines in the, he of course is talking about his own upliftment, because he says, even though I'm in a state of dejection, he says, happily I think on thee. On thee means he is talking about his beloved. Happily I think on thee, and then my state of affairs, that is, when I compare with the happiness that I achieve in being with my beloved, in comparison to the state of dejection which I felt due to the misfortunate situations that occurred in my life due to multifarious factors, then I realize, like to a lark at break of day arising from sudden earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. That is, when the lark starts singing, that is the joy of the singing of the lark that infuses mirth and freedom in the life of individuals whosoever are listening to the song of the lark. The same, that is the song of the lark is like a dawn in the life of Shakespeare, dawn of happiness, dawn of hope, dawn of love. So while listening to the song of the lark, he says, I get this feeling, my heart feels lightened, my state of dejection is also lightened to a certain extent. And he says that sings hymns at heaven's gate. That is, as if she is singing not a solemn song, but a song, a devotional song, singing about the praises of Lord. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, and then I scorn to change my state with kings. And he says, then I am surmounted with a joy of love to such an extent, that is giving me the wealth of love. That is, this is everything that this happiness is everything which I wanted to achieve in life. And with this wealth of happiness, I do not want to exchange my state of affairs, my state of being, with the state of any king. Now, the king is supposed to be the lord of the kingdom. The king is supposed to possess everything in life, not only wealth, but fame and love of everybody in life. So, naturally, being a king is being the lord of the earth. And so he says, but when I listen to the song of the lark, and I think about my beloved, the happiness that overwhelms me, that overjoys me, it gives me that state of freedom, that state of love, that state of joy in my life, that I do not want to miss, or rather forego my condition, my state of misfortune, with the state of the king. That is, I do not want to be the Lord. If anybody comes and offers me the state of being a king, I will refuse, because the wealth and the happiness and the fame that a king enjoys in his position, in his state, is much less in comparison to the joy that I am receiving by hearing the song of the lark, which is giving me, which is dawning upon me with a sign of hope and love. So I hope you have been able to understood the small sonnet by William Shakespeare. Thank you so much. इसी